There's nothing scarier than being out in the woods and hearing something or seeing something that you can't quite explain. So today we're taking scary tales from Reddit and learning about the Appalachian Mountains. Hi everyone, my name is Sam and welcome to Sleepover Scaries. Before we get into it, be sure to email me any of your spooky stories. Could be dealing with absolutely anything. I want to hear about it and I want to read it. So let me know, and just let me know how you're doing in the comments. I want to know what's up. Okay, our first story comes from Reddit. I posted this before, but it's one of the scariest stories I have ever heard, so here it goes again. This story was told in our family when I was growing up. It used to scare me so bad, lol. Anyways, my mama swore it was the truth and she was not known to tell lies, and I should know because it was just me and her when I was growing up. Anyways, she was born and raised in a very rural and poor area of West Virginia. Her and her 7 or 8 brothers and sisters were very poor. Because of this, and because it was what many country people did, her father raised a garden. Now my mama nearly idolized her father and would go with him the distance from their house to the garden spot, which was a good piece off. This required that they push a wagon with wooden wheels past their neighbor's house. My mama was terrified of the old woman that lived beside them. Mama said they called her Aunt Kate. She was older and apparently had cataracts because Mama said her eyes were white. Mama said this particular summer was extremely hot and that she and her father had spent a good bit of time at the garden tending the vegetables and picking what was ready. As they pushed this big wagon up and in front of Aunt Kate's house, the old woman came out and yelled, "Harrison," my great-grandfather, "give me some of them beans you got there." My great-grandfather responded, "Kate, we've worked hard for them beans and we ain't giving them away." The old woman's laughter said that they would regret their decision. The two proceeded up the hill to their home and went about chores and other required duties. Mama said that she thought nothing more of it until it was time to sleep. According to my mama, with so many kids, some shared the bed and some on the floor where they slept with minimal coverings. Mama said that she was drifting off to sleep when she heard someone or something walk towards the room where she was sleeping. Knowing the sounds of the home, she did not recognize who or what it could be. Mama always talked about how her father would tell them stories to scare them into being good. Due to this, she was easily scared. As the walking got closer, she reported covering her head and laying still terrified of who or what was standing in the doorway. Mama reported that whatever it was would turn and walk out of the room and back down the hallway all night long. Mama said she lay there all night terrified and scared to take her head out from under the blanket. The next morning, as the sun arose, the thing stopped. She stated that she then heard the familiar sound of her father moving quickly to dress. Once she bolstered enough bravery, she immediately darted down the hallway and into the kitchen where her father was placing green beans into a sack. Uh-oh. The two did not speak but walked quickly out the door and down the hill to Aunt Kate's house with the sack full of beans. Okay, we all know what that means. Mama said old Aunt Kate was already out sitting on her porch as if waiting for them to arrive. Her father said, "Old woman, take your booger," Appalachian term for spirit or demon, "back." Aunt Kate started laughing and telling them, "Don't worry, Harrison, it won't bother you no more." Mama told other things that Aunt Kate did that alluded to her being someone familiar with the dark side. Mama was a very honest Christian lady, had to go to church every time the doors were open, and I never remember a time where I caught her in a lie or even heard her curse, as she swore Kate was into black magic. Sometimes I think, okay, was she into black magic or did she just have somebody go walk around your house? I don't know. Hopefully, actually not hopefully, either one. Both of them are bad. So let's go on to our next Reddit story. This Reddit story makes you really wonder if you should be out in the woods alone or at all sometimes, especially in the Appalachian Mountains. This happened back in 2003. I lived in Western North Carolina and I worked doing taxes back then. And every year on April 16th, when the season was over, I liked to go hiking. It was a nice way to embrace the calm of nature after a wild and woolly tax season. One of my favorite hiking trails in that area is Mingus Mill over past Cherokee. Mingus? Sorry, so sorry. If you haven't been, go. It's a beautiful trail that starts at the mill and runs for a long while by a beautiful little creek. It also goes by a very old cemetery once you get way back in there. So it was the day after tax season, and I'm hiking with a man that will become my ex-husband. We were in the early stages of dating at that point. It's a beautiful spring day, clear and sunny skies, about 65 degrees for the high. Oh, that just really brought me back to childhood playing outside. Oh, I love it. We brought a little picnic lunch so we could just hike and not have to go back to town to eat. So we hiked, ate lunch on the trail, and hiked more. We had hiked a long way past the cemetery, and we were pretty far out there. It was maybe around 2 o'clock. We were way out on the trail and haven't seen other hikers in maybe an hour or so, and my future ex-husband is hiking in front of me on a narrow part of the trail, and we are talking. What happened next was so weird. I don't know what it was or how it happened, and has never happened again. So we were hiking and talking, and suddenly we hear a car. And we don't hear a car approaching and getting closer. It's like if you just suddenly hear a car engine running that popped into existence and then it cut off. As soon as it happened, my ex turned around and looked at me like, what the hell? I looked at him just as confused. Then we stood there for 15 minutes talking about it. Also, you could feel the vibration of it in the ground. I at first thought maybe a Forest Service road was nearby or something. But I've looked at the maps since then, and there was not one near where I think we were on the trail. Even if there had been, you would still have heard the car sound approach and get louder or fade away. It was like a car had just materialized into existence, the sound of it anyways, and then someone turned the key to turn it off. And since this was before smartphones, it wasn't someone playing a sound. And even if that was the case, it wouldn't have made the ground vibrate. There were no earthquakes in that area that day either. I wanted to continue hiking for another hour, but my ex was really freaked out. So we started heading back to the parking lot. He later said he was worried that it was a bear growling, but I said I did not think that's what it was. But what was that? Has anyone else had a similar experience? Some of the comments were that it could have been a generator that was turned on and off, and I think that's really likely, but also creepy, because if you're hiking out that far out, who is out there that is actually supposed to be out there? I feel like everyone's out there and they're not supposed to be out there, so that is slightly concerning, and I wouldn't want to run into whoever that was anyways. Sometimes people can be the scarier thing in the woods. I can sort of relate to these stories because I grew up in the country and someone always had sort of these tales of what happened to them, which was always interesting. And then sometimes when you're in the middle of the woods, and I like lived in the woods, and when it's dark, it just feels like something's watching you. I hate it. Maybe it was just an animal, but I still would like run into the house every time. And sometimes it wouldn't even feel eerie, so I'm like, why was I getting that feeling? Only sometimes probably I was freaking myself out. Anyways, what I'm saying is I kind of get it. Let's head into our next Reddit Appalachian story. The Appalachian Trail has many stories of creepy creatures or beings or ghosts, but sometimes honestly the creepiest things can be dealing with other people. Me and 2 others stayed at a road crossing just south of Buzzard Rock in Virginia. We had hiked late and the weather was taking a turn for the worse, so we all just threw our tents up, hunkered down, and waited for the incoming weather. Around 1 to 2 a.m., we were all awoken by the sound of an idle of a diesel truck sitting in the small gravel area only a few feet from our tents. They sat there for what seemed to be like forever. And then I heard them put it in gear. I breathed a sigh of relief because I thought that they would leave us alone. They did, but before they left, they did donuts on the gravel, throwing rocks all over our tents. At this point, I'm pretty scared for me and my friends' well-being, but they are gone, so I'm feeling much better. I fell asleep again, clutching my knife to my chest. About an hour later, they're back. This time they pull into the lot and just immediately start ripping donuts again, just throwing stones everywhere. They then park again, but this time they get out. I can hear them talking and joking by their truck, and then I hear them getting closer. They are walking around and touching our tents. I heard and saw a guy drag his knuckles across my rain fly. They walked around for what seemed like an eternity, got back into the truck, did some donuts, and left. I'm sorry, this isn't funny because that would be terrifying, but why is it cracking me up so bad that they're doing donuts? What the? Okay, anyways, whatever. After that, I didn't sleep much for the rest of the night. The next day, while trying to cross over Buzzard Rock, we were hit with 70 miles per hour and a good amount of rain, and I got hypothermia. Oh, 70 miles per hour wind. Got it. When all is said and done, that was one of the scariest 24-hour periods of my life. That's the thing with all these Appalachian stories is like, honestly, as creeped out as I am by the potential of like ghost or some unnatural being, what scares me the most is always people. You just don't know, and I feel like it's much more likely to run into like a really scary person. But anyways, thank you guys for joining my first comeback video. If you enjoyed, and remember, be sure to tell me if you've had any scary stories that you'd like for me to share on the podcast in my email or down in the comments below. So I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Bye.